So, bullying is something that you'll have to deal with at some part in your life, no matter who you are. And I learned this, and you will probably learn this early on in life when you're in school. You may get bullied by someone, and bullying usually starts verbally and emotionally, and it manifests physically. And there were points where I physically then beat up the bully and the bullying stopped. But as you mature, you realize you can't physically solve bullying as a long-term solution for a couple reasons. One is eventually someone you will meet is physically stronger than you, and it doesn't matter who you are. Remember, Mike Tyson got beat by Evander Holyfield and Lennox Lewis. So you could be the baddest man on the planet, but they'll eventually become someone who can beat you. So that's reason number one. You need to mature and realize you can't solve major conflict through physical means all times. And also, there may be a point where you're a male and a female may be emotionally bullying you. You should never hit a female because it's not going to resolve the problem, and then you're just abusing your physical dominance. So as you mature, you have to realize bullying is a real thing. It will happen to you, and you'll have to realize physical means is not a long-term solution to resolving conflict. And so the message is the way to resolve bullying, if you're being emotionally or mentally manipulated, because manipulation is bullying, guilt trips are bullying, the only way to resolve that in a mature way is to create distance and boundaries. As an example, I was in the cafe the other day, and there was a teacher instructing a younger new person that just got hired, and it was either social work or drug counseling. And the teacher was telling this new counselor that when you're speaking to one of your clients, you need to create distance, at least 5 to 6 feet of separation, physical distance, so that if they go to physically strike you, you have a buffer space. And two is, you need to be at an angle. You need to have this boundary to create this amount of separation where you can escape the physical dimension. And this is the case many times, because you can't, and this is beyond now that example, because you can't fight your parents. You shouldn't after you get a certain point of maturity. You can't fight your kids. You can't fight your boss. You can't fight your coworkers. So the only way to overcome when you feel you're in an unhealthy, toxic bullying situation is to create distance, physical, and to limit contact. And if abuse is going over your boundaries and over your separation, then you document and you escalate to the authorities. Okay. But as you get older, it's very important. The only way to address bullying, whether you're in a relationship, because again, it's not just strangers, it's not just school, it's not just workplace. If you're in a relationship, it has to have boundaries. Why? Even the most intimate relationships with your lover, with your kids, even with your pets, to maintain health, there has to be some level of separation, personal space. There has to be some level of just a sanctuary that you have for your well-being, so that you don't reach a breaking point and your mental and emotional capacity becomes exhausted and you resort to a default physical dimension of dealing with abuse. Because again, to finish how we started, when you escalate to the physical dimension, you can't overcome bullying every time, all the time, most of the time with physical action. It's actually going to get you in more of trouble, and that's where I always have concern. I'm all for self-defense, but I see people, they boast so much on having means of self-defense, but they don't boast about their emotional boundaries, about their proactive steps to physically de-escalate, They boast more about their ability to overcome physically the bully in their life. And that's why they're quick on the trigger but slow on the self-care. And eventually, that hurts them. Self-care means putting yourself in better self-control. And that's how you overcome bullying.